What is going on, world? What's up, YouTube? It's Zero here. Today I'm bringing you guys a brand new episode of The 8 Below Show. Welcome everyone to 8 Below. Thanks for being here, guys, to the best entertainment related show here on YouTube. And I'm super excited about our episode here today. We have a lot of stuff to talk about, so let's get into it. The highly anticipated spiritual successor to Left 4 Dead is Back 4 Blood, guys, and I'm really excited about this title and have talked on the YouTube channel over the course of time now about this title, and you guys can check out all of those videos here on the YouTube channel. But with that, guys, I wanted to go over the top 5 things that we want in Back 4 Blood. When I say we, guys, I'm going to be bringing you guys my opinions here. Some of you may agree with me. Some of you may disagree with some of these things that I want. I would love to hear from you guys what you guys want to see in Back 4 Blood in the comment section down below. So let's get into it. So coming in at number 1 for me, guys, is I want Back 4 Blood to be its own thing. So when I say that, I mean, when we compare this to, it being a spiritual successor, that is, and what it's being, kind of presented as to Left 4 Dead, I want it to have similarities to Left 4 Dead, without a doubt, because we all loved Left 4 Dead, and we've all wanted a continuation of that franchise, but it doesn't seem that Valve cares enough at this point about Left 4 Dead. So with Back 4 Blood, I certainly want to see similarities, but I want there to be, a decent amount of differences. I want there to be its own kind of spin on this, even though it's going to be a spiritual successor. And I'm really excited, guys, to see where they go with Back 4 Blood from the standpoint of, doing things kind of, traditional to Left 4 Dead, but also things even outside of the box. And we'll kind of get to that here in a moment. Coming in at number 2 for me, guys, is I would love to see, one of the things I would have loved to see with Left 4 Dead was a semi to full open world scenario where, you have multiple places that you can explore, even though Left 4 Dead had some elements of possible, semi-open world where there were places that you could explore and such. I want to really dive deeper into that with Back 4 Blood. I would love to see more areas that we're able to explore, more places that we're able to kind of just like, be able to find different collectibles, be able to, continue to connect with this story. And I think it's really important, guys, being a brand new IP, even though it's going to be a spiritual successor to Left 4 Dead, I think it needs to have and be its own thing, obviously, and we need to learn as much about the world as possible, in my personal opinion. That leads me to number 3, guys, which is having a number of customization options as well as, characters and weapons, being able to customize our characters, customize the weapons and such that you're using throughout the course of the game, I think is going to be really important as well in this game. So customization, I think, is going to be a big key point moving into this game, whether we're talking from a campaign perspective or other means of connecting with this franchise, which leads me to number 4, which is multiplayer and co-op, guys. Having multiplayer modes where you're able to fully customize your characters and the different skins on your weapons, and being able to get unlockable items or earnable items throughout the course of the multiplayer experiences. I think that it's really important as you play the campaign, whether we're talking about, a Back 4 Blood or any other franchise out there. After you're done beating the campaign, I think it's really important that there's other ways that you can connect with the game or with the franchise, that being like multiplayer as well as co-op modes. So I think that Back 4 Blood needs to do that because it's going to set itself apart in different ways to that of Left 4 Dead in that franchise. And so I think, like I said from the very beginning, there needs to be similarities to Left 4 Dead because it's a spiritual successor, but there needs to be differences. And I think multiplayer and co-op modes, having modes like a horde mode similar to Gears of War, where you're going up against waves and waves of enemies with your friends, might be really fun in this world. So with that, though, I just think that it's going to be important that we have multiplayer as well as co-op modes. And that leads me to number 5, guys, which I believe would be really an interesting concept, even though a lot of you may kind of disagree with this. I would love to see free-to-play elements here in Back 4 Blood. And when I say that, guys, I don't necessarily mean that the entire game has to be free-to-play, because I don't believe that it will be. But I think it would be really great to see the multiplayer modes as well as some of the co-op modes be free-to-play, so that you get more and more people to try out the game. It would be similar to You know, you look at all these other free-to-play AAA titles that are out there in the gaming landscape at this point, and when we look at those games, you know, being free-to-play, the numbers are huge. And so I think for a brand new IP like Back 4 Blood, even though it's a spiritual successor to Left 4 Dead, I really think that it could do well as far as really building a fan base here in a major way if you went free-to-play, or at least had elements of free-to-play, not necessarily the whole entire package, but maybe just multiplayer or some co-op modes be free to play. But those are the 5 things, guys, that I would like to see in Back 4 Blood. I'll be sure to give you guys more information and give you guys more things that we may want as we get closer to the launch here and as we learn more information. But let me know in the comment section down below, what are your top 5 things that you want to see in Back 4 Blood? Let me know. And for more Back 4 Blood content and videos, stay here with Zero TV. I've been talking on the YouTube channel quite a bit at this point, guys, about Hyperscape, this upcoming, you know, first-person shooter battle royale game from Ubisoft. And what I wanted to do, guys, and I wanted to take in this segment of the show, because it hasn't been confirmed, it hasn't been something, there's been rumblings about this question, but there hasn't been any official confirmation as of yet. That being Hyperscape, and is this, you know, universe that they're creating, that being Ubisoft, is it within the Watch Dogs universe? So let's talk about that, guys. Hyperscape, we've seen, you know, obviously a number of images. We've looked at, you know, what they've kind of shown us so far about the game with gameplay and things of that nature. However, one of the big things to me, guys, that, you know, there's a question mark here, and people, many people, that being streamers, content creators alike, as well as just, you know, casual gamers, are stating that this game looks like it's got, you know, ties to Watch Dogs. It looks like it has, you know, just a number of different games within it that, you know, it has almost like, it's like a kudos to certain titles. And with Ubisoft owning the Watch Dogs universe and the Watch Dogs games as a whole, I kind of, as I've looked at some of the images, guys, a number of times, and kind of really have tried to take in everything that we know so far about the title. From the looks of it, guys, I actually think that there's a real possibility here. Think of Apex Legends and how that's in the Titanfall universe. This is a game that in Hyperscape that kind of looks like it could definitely be within the Watch Dogs universe. Now, maybe it's not, right? Maybe it's like a completely new world that Prisma Dimensions as well as Ubisoft are trying to work on, that they're just like building something totally new. Or they want there to be something there that can help promote Watch Dogs or one of their other IPs. I just think when you look at all of the other games that Ubisoft owns at this point, think of the big titles, right? When we look at, like, you know, Far Cry, when you look at Rainbow Six and you look at Assassin's Creed, this game does not look anything like any of those titles. Now, Watch Dogs, even though it doesn't look so much like Watch Dogs from the standpoint of the gameplay and things of that nature, it certainly looks like it from an environmental perspective. When you look at the environments, when you look at all of those things, it certainly gives you this feel of Watch Dogs. And what I'm getting at here, guys, is that, you know, with Watch Dogs Legion coming out, they obviously are wanting to promote and really build the hype around this. Now, is that something that Hyperscape is here to do, or is it just to be its own thing altogether? I do believe that Ubisoft wanted to make Hyperscape be their version of a battle royale. Is it within the world of one of their other titles? It's hard to say. I mean, I think it would be pretty cool if it had ties to Watch Dogs, because I love the Watch Dogs universe. I'm extremely excited about Watch Dogs Legion, one of my most anticipated games of the year. Hopefully it comes out this year. Maybe it'll be postponed to next year depending on what happens here. But without a doubt, I would love to see this in the Watch Dogs universe. I think that would be something really special. At the same time, however, I wouldn't mind it being its own thing completely. And then they have spin-offs off of Hyperscape if it does well, and they end up doing like a first-person shooter that isn't a BR, that has other multiplayer modes or whatever it might be. I'm hoping that this BR that comes out has other modes outside of it, and we've talked about that here in some of our previous videos about Hyperscape. I am hopeful of that, and there have been rumblings that there were going to be other modes outside of BR with Hyperscape, but we'll have to kind of wait and see what the timeline looks like and what they're kind of predicting and what they're planning on doing in the future with their roadmap. But with that, Watch Dogs, guys, with Legion coming out, Hyperscape now coming out in BR. The question is really coming to mind here, in my mind, that they may be taking the same approach that Apex Legends did with putting a BR out there that's within the universe as one of their IPs. Now, what's interesting to me about if this is true, that Ubisoft decided to make Hyperscape within the Watch Dogs universe, why would they decide Watch Dogs over one of their other big IPs like Rainbow Six or Assassin's Creed or Far Cry? It's hard to see why they decided to go with Watch Dogs if that's the way that they decided to go. Now, look, guys, obviously this is all speculation. Hyperscape may very well just be its own thing completely. It may be in the Far Cry universe, and we just don't know that as of yet. What I'm getting at, though, is that it looks the most like something that would be within the world of Watch Dogs. And, I like this take. I would like this take because I like Watch Dogs, but it's certainly not their biggest IP. They have a bunch of IPs that are much bigger than that of Watch Dogs. I think with Watch Dogs Legion, they may believe that they've got something really special there, so that's why they wanted to tie this to the Watch Dogs universe. It's hard to say, but there's a lot of question marks there if it were true. I think that there's a real possibility to it, but at the same time, it's kind of unlikely because of, Ubisoft probably wants to make this their own thing, and this is not, that being Watch Dogs, is not one of their biggest IPs, so why would they put it within that universe? Why would they have both those universes kind of come together with Hyperscape as well as Watch Dogs when they could easily do it with, say, Far Cry or something else? It's hard to say, guys. We'll have to kind of wait and see as time goes on. If we get further information, I'll be sure to share it with you if we do get that information. But let me know in the comment section down below. Do you guys want and hope that Hyperscape is within the universe and is within the same world as one of their other current IPs that they have right now? Or do you want it to be its own thing altogether? Let me know, like I said. And for more Hyperscape content and videos, stay here with Zero TV. There was definitely a valiant effort when it came to Mixer, guys. This, streaming platform that, of course, created by Microsoft. I thought there were some really special things here with Mixer at the end of the day when you break everything down. There's a bunch of reasons why Mixer failed and why it didn't work out. But I really thought that underneath everything, Mixer had some unique, capabilities and things that kind of made it what it was. And I think that part of the problem may have been that when it was launched, it was way too far behind some of its competition, amongst a number of other things. And I wanted to take this segment of the show, guys, and talk about what happened to Mixer. We can kind of break it down, and then we can, give our opinions, and I would love to hear yours in the comment section down below. So let's get into it. So guys, before I start this article that was written by Bijan Stephen of The Verge, I wanted to say, all of you guys out there who were Mixer streamers, all of my Mixer streamers out there who were, dedicated a lot of time and effort, energy to Mixer, I am so sorry that this happened, and I mean, who could have, I think that we definitely predicted that something like this was going to happen, but the fact that it completely is getting shut down at this point, my heart goes out to all of you guys out there. When it comes to, having to transition, a lot of people think that you can just easily transition over to another platform and start, just kind of picking up right where you left off. Like, say, for example, you go from Mixer to Facebook Gaming or to coming, to Twitch or somewhere else. It's not that easy, guys. It takes a long time to really build a fan base. It takes a long time to build a community on one of these platforms, and it's not, as easy to get a lot of those people to transition to some other platform to watch you. So, my thoughts are certainly with everyone out there who were streaming on Mixer and now are kind of, at a crossroads trying to figure out what it is that you're trying to do. And like I said, my heart goes out to all of you guys. I want to, I would love, guys, to see And I believe that there's going to be a lot of people out there who did, stream on Mixer that are going to make, even bigger headway moving on to some of these other platforms, that being like Facebook Gaming or some of the new, streaming services that are going to be coming out. But my heart is certainly, and my thoughts are with you guys out there who ended up having to, ultimately, some of you lose your jobs on Mixer. So with that, guys, let's get into why Mixer failed here. So this was a long time coming. For years now, Mixer has struggled, lagging far behind the live streaming platforms it was meant to compete with, that being Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. And by the end of July, it will be dead. Even the director of Xbox admitted that Mixer started pretty far behind. It's not that Mixer was technologically flawed or one of those businesses that's a bad idea on its face. It had some good ideas, paid for some great streamers, and the whole enterprise failed anyway. In my opinion, Mixer was doomed from the start because what Microsoft never seemed to understand was that its live streaming platform was first and foremost a community. That's not to disparage the streamers on Mixer or the fans who followed them there. Those relationships are real solid and will probably last even as streamers leave the platform for greener pastures. Now, what I mean is that Microsoft never marketed Mixer as anything more than more of a technologically advanced version of Twitch, and it couldn't seem to figure out how to showcase the community it was building. In retrospect, the final nail in Mixer's coffin was bringing Ninja onto the service by offering him tens of millions of dollars. That was the exact moment that Microsoft decided that organically growing streamers was too hard or too expensive. It tried to buy an audience, which is not how social sites operate. So I do agree with this point where even though it was like huge news at the time, guys, bringing Ninja over to Mixer, without a doubt, him as well as Shroud, bringing both of them over to Mixer was a big move, guys. And this was when there was a lot of shifting happening. I think, though, that that being Microsoft, thought that, okay, the numbers that Ninja's getting on Twitch is going to translate somewhere else. And guys, like I just said earlier, for all of you that, some of you lost your jobs on Mixer because now you're not going to be able to stream anymore on Mixer. You got to find a new home. What I'm getting at is it's not as easy to just kind of pick up where you left off. Ninja built something special on Twitch. When he moved over to Mixer, it was like some of those people, kind of followed him over there. But then there were a lot of those guys who watched Ninja on Twitch that just went and started watching other streamers. And so it's a lot harder than you think. And so Microsoft, moving in, paying out a ton of money, that they really, technically they have, but that they, should not have really probably paid all of this money in order to essentially buy viewers. And it just ended up really backfiring, guys. And I think that this is going to be a lesson for future streaming platforms out there that you just can't do this. I mean, at the end of the day, the difference between Twitch and Mixer isn't like the difference between HBO and Netflix, though they may on their face seem similar. By way of analogy, HBO, Netflix, Hulu, and the like are all operating within a larger market that goes exactly one way, from producer to consumer. If you felt like being reductive, you could say that in this regard, every television show is the same. They're just content, and the delivery mechanism is incidental to the experience. You don't feel different watching different networks because the network itself isn't integral to the experience of enjoying television. Streaming, on the other hand, upends that formula. To put it in television terms, every streamer is a channel. But the more important thing is that every streamer is also the nexus of their own social network, the community they're working to cultivate. That secondary social network is powered by the larger primary one, the site the streamer is using to broadcast. And then there are the other broadcasters that the streamer interacts with, which itself makes up a third distributed network of potential community and audience members. Each platform, too, has its own language and culture, which are esoteric at first, but eventually come to symbolize in-group belonging. So basically, guys, Mixer is one of the, it's not so much the streamers that are on the platform. It's It's more that the community that the platform is bringing to people. And I think that Twitch, the reason why it's basically the Netflix at this point of streaming is they were kind of, they started off and they're kind of one of the first to do it essentially. And then from there, they already have like this very, this built-in community there. Now, there's been issues along the way, without a doubt, just like any, network out there. But I think that Twitch has something that none of these other platforms have, which is a significant community and the experience, which is what people really go there for. People really like the experience that they get on Twitch. Now, YouTube, of course, I think since it's already got a massive community as it is, that people that watch content there, they can also, with live streaming, that's something that could certainly get up there with Twitch. But Mixer, I just think, was one of those where they were more trying to buy viewers instead of, they were basically paying for viewers instead of, trying to really grow organically at the end of the day. So you'll be able to build up those relationships again, but for anyone who's not a large broadcaster, that process would take a very long time. Again, exacerbated by the fact that Mixer didn't itself have a large dedicated audience. If you add to that the fact that Twitch, by virtue of its age and size, has dominated and changed the live streaming market, both consumers and streamers, to fit its image, it's easy to see why moving to Mixer was a tricky proposition at best. But of course, guys, there were some people that did do it. Now, here's the thing. Mixer was not attracting viewers. And why should it? Because Twitch spent so long outside the mainstream. It's still outside it now, though it's closer than ever. Watching streams on Twitch could feel like an identity. Mixer, which mostly seemed to be positioned as the not Twitch, didn't give viewers an identity around which they could rally. The other part of this, naturally, is that Mixer focused on drawing streamers to its platform, but didn't spend much time promoting organic talent and growing their viewership. Getting Ninja to stream on your platform is one thing, but what Mixer didn't seem to realize is that Ninja's audience was there to see him. They weren't necessarily there to be a part of that primary community to check out new streamers they might like. It just wasn't a huge part of the site's DNA. It rhymes with the strategy that a lot of digital news publishers enjoyed in the 2010s, prioritizing virality over building dedicated, devoted audiences. And so I also think the rise of the live streaming sites and evidence of a larger pivot in media, the one that finds creators beholden to their audiences. Instagram celebrities now are different from A-list celebrities of the 90s and early outs because the people who have built large communities on the platform are now accountable to their followings in a way that Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie were never accountable to the people who consume their movies. And that's because media in 2020 is about communities. And look, at the end of the day, guys, it's true. I mean, it really is. I mean, when we look at, Mixer, when we look at Twitch, it's all about community. And Mixer failed at that. It failed at really building a community. It tried to buy a community, and you can't do that. You build a community organically, whether it's on YouTube, whether it's on Twitch. Any, content creator out there that is trying to make a living at, or streamer that's trying to make a living at doing this, they're having to build something organically. You're not really able to just pay for it. You can't buy it, right? You can buy, ad slots. You can buy certain things, guys, to help promote you in one way or another. And some people will certainly check you out. But at the end of the day, you got to build an audience organically. And it's something that Mixer failed to do. And now they look like they're moving into Facebook Gaming, which Facebook Gaming, I think, has got a really good chance, actually, at being the next relatively large-sized streaming platform, to say the least. But with that, guys, I think that we all know that really what happened here was that they were, trying to buy viewers and buy an audience more so than trying to build it organically. And that's ultimately what met Mixer's demise, as well as spending a lot of money on creators, which I am all for, these, creators out there, Ninja, all these guys who are getting really big contracts and paychecks for moving over to certain platforms. I totally get it. I think it was a huge move, a power move, really, in the gaming industry for Ninja moving to Mixer. But with that, though, I think that you're taking on significant risk when you do that, especially with, a platform that really, needs more time to build more of a more of a community organically before you start bringing more people on, that being like Ninja as well as Shroud. Even though they were two biggest at the time, it ultimately, guys, what we know now is that it didn't work. And I think that other streaming platforms will learn from that moving forward. But let me know, guys, what do you guys think ultimately happened to Mixer? Let me know in the comment section down below. And for more videos like this, stay here with Zero TV. As many of you guys know, I'm a huge fan of the filmmaking industry, guys. Went to school at the New York Film Academy, and this has just been, one of those industries that I absolutely love. It's kind of like hand in hand for me with gaming. I absolutely love the gaming industry, but I also love filmmaking. I love the movie making industry, guys. It's an incredible thing, and I thought that, I've wanted to talk about this for a while now. I think that in sports, we look at, who are the greatest, athletes of all time. And then, the big one as of late, guys, is LeBron James versus Michael Jordan. And I wanted to go ahead and do something similar, but that of within the movie industry. So I'm a huge fan of Leonardo DiCaprio, guys. I think that he is incredible. I mean, his work has been expanded over the course of time. And I think it's one of the best careers up to this point in time in the history of filmmaking. However, the question really comes down to, is Leonardo DiCaprio the greatest actor of all time? And so that's another, conversation that we have to have, guys, because I know that a lot of you out there are probably big DiCaprio fans as well, or you have your favorite actor that you really, really like, or your favorite actress. But with that, I wanted to take who I believe are the two greatest ever at, when we talk about just from acting in that perspective. I believe that DiCaprio, he's been, there's been a number of times, guys, where I felt like throughout his career he should have won more Academy Awards, but that's neither here nor there. I mean, we could go on and on about that for ad nauseum, essentially. But what I wanted to do was compare two careers up to this very point in time. DiCaprio's not done yet, and the other guy is Daniel Day-Lewis, who is considered to be pretty much one of, if not the greatest actor of all time. And so I wanted to compare these two guys and kind of see, well, is DiCaprio close to being, surpassing the greatest of all time? Is DiCaprio already the greatest of all time? I think there's a lot of, conversations that we could have about this. So I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section down below. Do you guys think that Daniel Day-Lewis or DiCaprio or are the greatest, or do you think that it's someone else? I would love to hear your guys' thoughts on this. So look, guys, at the end of the day, I'm going to be using Wikipedia articles to kind of compare these two, juggernauts within the filmmaking, industry, two incredible actors that have spanned over the course of time. DiCaprio's very first movie was Critters 3 back in 1991, whereas Daniel Day-Lewis was Sunday Bloody Sunday in 1971. And when you look at everything, guys, between these two, DiCaprio actually has been in a lot more films. He's been in a lot of movies. He's been a producer of a lot of movies as well as being in TV. Now, Daniel Day-Lewis on the flip side of this has been in less movies, but he has done television. He's actually done stage as well. So he's done a little bit, even a little bit more outside of filmmaking than DiCaprio has. But DiCaprio certainly has Daniel Day-Lewis when it comes to filmmaking, as far as the films are concerned. Now, the big thing is that there's a number of ways that you have to break this down when we compare these two incredible actors. So when we look at Leonardo DiCaprio, his list of awards, his nominations and such. So essentially, guys, he's been nominated 168 times, okay, which is a pretty big deal. You're being nominated a lot. However, he was a runner-up 4 times, and he's won only 54 times. So put that in perspective here. I mean, we're talking less. I mean, he's getting nominated a ton for pretty much almost all the roles he's done as of late, guys. He's getting nominated for, but he's not winning. And the times that he's winning, he's not winning the big ones. So let's put it into perspective. The Academy Awards, or the Oscars, are essentially the Super Bowl in the filmmaking industry, guys. It's the biggest deal out of them all. You can look at wins, you can look at losses, but it really comes down to how many times have you won an Oscar? And so with DiCaprio, we are talking, he has only won one time, and it was for The Revenant. But if you look at just for example, guys, when we look at the Academy Awards, he was nominated for What's Eating Gilbert Grape, which I think a lot of these, I feel that he was snubbed, but that's probably just me because I'm a big DiCaprio fan. But What's Eating Gilbert Grape, he was nominated for The Aviator, Blood Diamond, The Wolf of Wall Street, The Revenant, as well as Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And so he's been nominated for Best Supporting Actor. He's been nominated for, of course, just being the Best Actor as well. And he's only won once, that being The Revenant. Okay. Now, he's won a number of other awards, guys, outside of the Academy Awards, but I think that that's the big one. Okay. Now, so remember, 168 nominations. He's won 54 times. Now, on the flip side of this, Daniel Day-Lewis absolutely, he has done, what's really impressive with Daniel Day-Lewis, guys, is he's been nominated 212 times and has won 139 times, okay? So let's put that into perspective, guys. I mean, he is absolutely incredible when we are talking about the times that he's been nominated and the wins that he's had. Now, all of those wins that he's had, guys, it's quite impressive. Now, the biggest thing to me, though, that's impressive about Daniel Day-Lewis versus DiCaprio is the simple fact that, like we said earlier, Daniel Day-Lewis has not done as many movies as Leonardo DiCaprio, yet he's won more. So he's been in less movies and he's won more. So that's really something you got to look at, guys. So look at it this way. You've got from 1990 to 2018, he was nominated, and we're going based on Academy Awards in particular. So we're looking at, he was nominated for My Left Foot, In the Name of the Father, Gangs of New York, There Will Be Blood, Lincoln, and Phantom Thread. And out of those 6 nominations, he won for My Left Foot, he won for There Will Be Blood, as well as Lincoln. And so right there, you have 3 wins versus 1 for DiCaprio if we're going based on Academy Awards. So right there, guys, he has he's been nominated, 6 times, and he won 3 times. So he's 3-6, guys, which is a big deal. I mean, winning that much is huge. Now, the times that he lost to Tom Hanks in Philadelphia. He lost to Adrian Brody for The Pianist, and he lost to Gary Oldman of Darkest Hour. And ultimately, though, guys, he's an incredible actor. And so really, when we look at this as a whole, Daniel Day-Lewis apparently is retired. He's finished. He's done. He told everyone he was going to be done after Phantom Thread. So let's just say, theoretically, that his career is done. It's cemented. His legacy's cemented. Right now, there's no debate in my mind that he's the greatest, because it's really the totality that you have to look at. And based upon how many movies he's actually done versus how many times he's won is extraordinary. I mean, it's incredible. Having 212 nominations and he's won 139 times, that's a big deal. DiCaprio, guys, here's the way I look at it. If he can win a couple of more, Academy Awards at this point in his career, which I still think DiCaprio has a long, his journey is going to be, is going to be really good. I think he's going to have a good amount of a career left over. I think that he can win at least one more Academy Award, if not a couple more. And if he can do that, then we'll have to kind of look at this once again to see, how many nominations he's had, how many wins he's had. I don't believe he's ever going to reach the number of wins. I mean, 139 is astronomical. As far as nominations go, he could get pretty close to where Daniel Day-Lewis is. I think the big thing, though, that separates Daniel Day-Lewis to Leonardo DiCaprio at this point is how many times he's won the big one, the amount of times he's won the Super Bowl of filmmaking, that being the Academy Awards. 3-1, guys. If DiCaprio can tie that, we're going to have a real conversation. Because when I look at this, and this just may be me, guys, the movies that DiCaprio has also played in, I enjoy a lot more than the ones that Daniel Day-Lewis was in. Even though Daniel Day-Lewis did a great job in his movies, I still personally really liked DiCaprio's movies. I mean, when we look at What's Eating Gilbert Grape, I thought it was incredible in that. The Aviator, I really liked The Aviator. Blood Diamond, a great movie. The Wolf of Wall Street, one of my favorites ever. The Revenant, another one of my favorites. And Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I think was really great as well. So all in all, guys, when I look at the totality of all of the movies that DiCaprio's done, I think that he's done a lot more better movies, in my opinion. But the performances that Daniel Day-Lewis has done, which at the end of the day is what defines the greatest, I think that he's done more, and he's just had way more accomplishments up to this point. Can DiCaprio catch him? I absolutely think he can. I think DiCaprio's been snubbed a number of times when it comes to the Academy Awards. But the same can be said for Daniel Day-Lewis. Maybe he should have won more. Maybe he should have won for Gangs of New York, and maybe even Phantom Thread. It's hard to say, but what we know is what we know. And at this very moment in time, DiCaprio, I think he takes a hard second place to none other than Daniel Day-Lewis on the greatest of all time list, and I think that DiCaprio can certainly catch him. Who else do you guys think is on the list, though, to kind of is gaining over time here, getting closer and closer to catching Daniel Day-Lewis? You think it's DiCaprio or someone else? Let me know in the comment section down below, and for more content like this, guys, stay here with Zero TV. And with that being said, everyone, I hope you guys did enjoy this episode of the 8 Below Show. And if you guys did, leave a thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, stay positive, and as always, I'll talk to you guys all in the next one. Peace.